Hello YouTube, it's me, the Chosen Joshua, who has talked about, well, a lot of stuff. But today, I'm kind of doing what I've done before, except I'm going a little bit further with it. See, before I made a video about Percy Jackson and the Olympians. Today, the video is not about strictly Percy Jackson and the Olympians, it's about the Heroes of Olympus, which is the sequel series, but it's not literally about just the Heroes of Olympus, because it's about what the Romans call the prophecy of seven. It's 7 half-bloods shall answer the call. To storm or fire the world must fall. An oath to keep with a final breath, and foes bear arms to the doors of death. Now, this prophecy has caused fear in the Greek and the Roman world, because according to the Romans, this prophecy is millennia old. It's as old as the time of Rome itself, which is a long time. According to the Greece, just received this prophecy at the end of in the middle of August. When, well, it was about the end of August, when Rachel became the new prophecy. Spoiler alert right now, if you haven't read Mark of Athena or Son of Neptune, or even The Lost Hero, this is a major spoiler alert, and if you don't like spoilers, I'd recommend closing this video now, and waiting to review at a sooner time, or at a later time. Now, this is tough for me to talk about, because this book right here is very emotional. It's a very huge emotion, and I know that sounds a little bit cheesy, but I'm not kidding. Just for those of you who are probably watching this, just one real quick what happens at the end. Annabeth faces Arachne, who, if you recall, cursed all of Annabeth's siblings, all the other children of Athena, with fear of spiders. Basically, she sends her minions out to attack the children of Athena, because Athena cursed Arachne and made her become the first spider. Annabeth fights her, yada yada yada, bunch of stuff happens, things get blown up. Percy and the other 6, Hazel, Frank, Leo, Jason, and Piper, and Coach Hedge, go out and do their own thing, which is not a good thing. But Annabeth had it worse, because she had to go alone in Rome. And I chew my fingernails a lot. So, but that's not what's bad. What's bad is when they're finally reunited, Annabeth falls into Tartarus, which is this never-ending pit in the underworld. If you don't know that, then spoiler alert, because Percy goes in after her. He catches her, and then they fall in together, and he's holding on to the something he's holding, a giant cliff or something. I don't know, a ledge, I guess. I'm going to read you part of it. She had thought it was just a loose line, but with the entire floor covered in cobwebs, she hadn't noticed that one of the strands was wrapped around her foot, and the other end went straight into the pit. It was attached to something heavy down in the darkness, something that was pulling her in. "No," Percy muttered, light dawning in his eyes. "My sword." But he couldn't reach Riptide without letting go of Annabeth's arm, and Annabeth's strength was gone. She slipped over the edge. Percy fell with her. Blah, 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 blah. Lots of stuff happens. Annabeth's leg felt like it was pulling free of her body. Pain washed everything in red. The force of the underworld tugged at her like dark gravity. She didn't have the strength to fight. She knew she was too far down to be saved. "Percy, let me go," she croaked. "You can't pull me up." His face was white with effort. She could see in his eyes that he knew it was hopeless. "Never," he said. He looked up at Nico, 15 feet above. "The other side, Nico. We'll see you there. Understand?" Nico's eyes widened. "But lead them there," Percy shouted. "Promise me." I will." Below them, the voice laughed in the darkness. "Sacrifices. Beautiful sacrifices to wake the goddess." Percy tightened his grip on Annabeth's wrist. His face was gaunt, scraped, and bloody, his hair dusted with cobwebs, but when he locked eyes with her, she thought he had never looked more handsome. "We're staying together," he promised. "You're not getting away from me. Never again." Only then did she understand what would happen. A one-way trip. A very hard fall. "As long as we're together," she said. She heard Nico and Hazel still screaming for help. She saw the sunlight far, far above. Maybe the last sunlight she would ever see. Then Percy let go of his tiny ledge, and together, holding hands, he and Annabeth fell into the endless darkness. Very sad. Very emotional. Especially for Percabeth shippers like myself. If you've seen Percabeth versus Prachel. If you haven't, go watch it after this. But that doesn't have as much to do with the Prophecy of Seven. I'm just giving you a quick what happened last time. Previously on the Heroes of Olympus. This is all we know is that they're in Tartarus. Recently, Rick Riordan did say that there will be some Tartarus scenes, but we don't know if this is going to be from their point of view or perhaps someone else's. Like, it could be Nico dreaming about Tartarus because he's a child of the underworld, so it's conceivable that that's what's happening. But this isn't a Mark of Athena video. This is unveiling the Prophecy of Seven. So, when in doubt, we start at the beginning. 7 half-bloods shall answer the call. It's pretty simple. 7 children of gods will answer the plea for help, the call. Like, oh, phone's ringing. Okay. 7 half-bloods crowding around it. Yep, let's go. Put it down. To the Bat Cave. Or the Leo Cave. To the Argo II. That's what I'm talking about. But, so simple. This is the line that really has people tricked up. You see, I like a lot of Facebook pages, and one very common belief is that to storm or fire the world must fall revolves around 2 people, Jason and Leo. But when has Rick Riordan ever made a prophecy clear to us? Think about it. Think back to last time when he said, and see the world in an endless sleep. The hero's soul cursed blade shall reap. A single choice shall end his days. We all thought it was one thing, but it wasn't. We all thought that the hero was Percy because he was the hero in the prophecy. But we gotta quit jumping to that conclusion. We have to see beyond what, basically, we have to look outside the box. We have to think outside the box. And I've already had someone agree with my idea, but basically what everyone forgets is that Nico's the last person to talk, or Leo's the last narrator for this book. But Nico D'Angelo himself says that Percy is the most powerful demigod he's ever met. Now, take into account, Nico has been to both camps more than anyone, so he knows everyone. He goes around the world talking to people. He knows people. He's been to Tartarus and back. And what else to think? But he basically he knows people. He knows a lot of people. And for him to say that Percy is the most powerful demigod, don't you think that to storm or fire the world must fall would have something to do with Percy? Duh! It's Percy has the power to make Jason's storms look like basically playthings. Who else remembers in The Last Olympian when he's fighting Hyperion, Lord of Light? And he starts creating that hurricane, and it's wishing around, causing wind, dousing his flames. It throws the Titan freaking 50 feet. Probably more. I don't know. But that kind of power, he has that kind of power. He fought that small army and son of Neptune. All these things Percy's done because of his powers. They're all storms. He's the son of the Earthshaker. He blew up Mount Helens. Or St. Helens, whatever. Not important. But blew it up because of the earthquake. Storms are classified as any natural disaster, really. It doesn't have to be that excessive like a hurricane, but it can be something as simple as rain. Percy can cause that. Or an earthquake. Percy can cause that too. So he's much more likely to destroy the world. Because think about what Athena said in the Titan's Curse. He said, your fatal flaw could kill us all. Because his fatal flaw is he's too loyal to his friends. He can't let them go for anything. But to add to that, Mars said the same thing to Frank when they were sitting alone at his grandmother's bedside. If you remember, he said his fatal flaw will cause the whole war to go sideways. And it was only Frank's sense of duty that kept it in line. It kept Percy from making the war go crazy. Basically, to me it sounds like Annabeth has to do something herself. She's the only one capable. But Frank figures out a way to do it. And Frank is going to see it as his duty because he doesn't want to give up Annabeth. He doesn't want Percy to have to give up Annabeth. And since Frank is a big lug, and in a way, he's destined to die because Hera said that, and Mars said that his life will burn short but bright. So he's gonna do something. He's gonna do it big. He's gonna help save the world. But that's not it. The thing is, to storm or fire, the world must fall. To storm, Percy or Jason. I'm not saying Jason isn't possible, but Percy's the more likely candidate because he's the one hiding in the shadows. To storm or fire, the world must fall. But the world doesn't necessarily mean planet Earth. It could mean Gaia, the Earth goddess herself. What if it means to Percy/Jason or Leo, the fire guy, the world must fall? So because of one of these three demigods, Gaia is going to fall. Is that possible? Probably. But because this is just what's happening. This is undeniable that it's happening. Because Mars has hinted that Percy's a huge role, which everyone can see. Because of Percy's power and the fact that he's the leader. I mean, Coach Hedge didn't ground Percy for a reason, because Percy can kick some butt, as you can see. And this is just a very tough thing to explain. But And a lot of people have agreed with me the way I'm explaining this, because Percy is the logical... No, Jason is the first thought. He's the one we're introduced to. We're bringing him in, he's like, okay, he must play a part here. But why does it have to be a grand part? Remember what Pan said to Annabeth back in the Labyrinth? He said, you will play a role, but it may not be the role you imagined. Well, I'm going to kind of twist his words up, and he's like, and I'm going to say, Jason will play a great role, but it's not going to be the role that we imagined for him as the Percy Jackson fans, or the Heroes of Olympus fans, whichever you want me to call it. It doesn't matter, because one way or another, we're the fans of demigods. The fan of Camp Half-Blood, Camp Jupiter, Zeus, Poseidon, Hades, Jupiter, Juno, Pluto, Neptune, all the other planets. Or gods, whatever you want to call them. But that's the thing. That's what we have. We have a story with a bunch of lower levels. This is what Rick Riordan does to us. He gives us an idea, and then he lets our imaginations run wild with it. But the box, okay, I don't have a box, but take for instance, this is a box. You're in here if you think Jason's the only option for Storm, or if Leo's the only option for Fire, because Frank said he could burn short and bright, and his power, he can make his thing catch fire, which could imply that he could be the other half of Fire. But could it mean that maybe to Percy and Jason, or to Frank and Leo for their bitter rivalries, Frank and Leo over Hazel, Percy and Jason over the fact that Percy's so much better? Don't want to start an argument, but you know it's true. He's been faced with much more, and he's come out of much more, despite Jason being in the business longer, shall we say. But you guys are in here. I'm just saying, let's sneak out here and try and look at this from a different perspective. Quit looking from here out. Look from out here in. Or look from over here, or over here, over here, or whatever. You're running this analogy into the ground. Now, but there are other things. An oath to keep to a final breath. Now, this could mean 1,000 different things. There are plenty of oaths. When I first read it, in The Last Olympian, I thought it was the promise Percy had the gods make about claiming their children at age 13. But as you can see, it's not perfect yet, so I'm not gonna go too far on that. But I think it's Nico's final breath. He promised to save Percy and Annabeth. And when you think about it, I like Nico. I mean, he creeps me out, but he really is a sad kid. And I like him as a character. I like his character development throughout the series. He goes from this little kid to a guy who just wants to kill Percy Jackson to a hero of Olympus. But the prophecy tells us that only 7 demigods may partake this quest, which means one of them has to die. And Nico is the only one who has been in Tartarus besides Percy and Annabeth. So Percy and Annabeth are going to fight their way out. And once Nico reaches the doors of death, he is going to die because he kept his oath to his final breath, and he died. And it's going to be sad. I'm probably going to cry. I'll probably make a video in memoriam to Nico D'Angelo. But when you think about it, he doesn't have anything. His friends, but the sad truth is, besides Percy and Annabeth, Nico doesn't really have any friends. The Romans don't like him. The Greeks think he's creepy. I mean, yeah, they liked him at the end of the last Olympian, but things aren't going to change like that so soon. No. And it's sad. I hate it, but it's true. It's the bitter truth. And he lost Bianca a long time ago, and he lost his mother. He lost everything. So now, this is all he has. He has to. He's gonna die. He's gonna let himself die because he knows that's the way it has to be. And foes bear arms to the doors of death. Demigods are gonna fight Gaia at the doors of death. And I think somehow the doors of death are gonna make it to Camp Half-Blood, where the Greeks and Romans are tearing each other apart. They're dying, they're slaughtering, they're destroying everything. Greek fire blazing, Roman spears thrown in an epic battle. Bloodshed like you've never seen before. And yet, out of the ashes, there we go. Doors of death come out. They save the day. They mourn for those past. And work together for a better future. I don't have anything else to add on the subject. Keep calm. Just kidding. You can't. You have ADHD.